This Day in Sports History. This episode is brought to you by the Sterling Soap Company. Listen up, Christmas is quickly approaching, and you know what would make a great stocking stuffer for everybody in your family? Sterling Soap. From bar soap to shave soap, beard balm to lip balm, aftershaves and lotions, Sterling Soap has something for everyone on your list. Check out their seasonal soaps that will complement the scents of your home this holiday season. And they also have a full line of coffee to choose from straight from the Sterling Roastery. Find their full line of products at sterlingsoap.com. And welcome back to another edition of This Day in Sports History. I am your host, Steve White, ready to take you on a magical time-traveling journey up and down the sports history timeline. It is December 13th, and on this day, a mole was discovered inside a college football program. A track meet broke out during an NBA game, and KC Chiefs coach Andy Reid made his debut on Monday Night Football. Those stories, plus a non-sports fun fact about the guy who famously played Dracula. I'll kick things off right after this. Psst. Hey, I got a secret for you. Well, it's not so secret now, but back then it was, and maybe that's how it started. Just a little bit of a, hey, come over here, I got some information to share with you. Or not. But let's start with a little subterfuge and spycraft with what came to light on this day back in 2016. So, not as well known and definitely not as injurious as what Aldrich Ames or Robert Hansen did. Not as spycrafty either. There weren't any dead drops or hidden cameras. But on this day in 2016, the WakeyLeaks scandal came to light. Now, Tommy Elrod had been a Wake Forest player back in the mid-90s, and then he was an assistant coach with the Deacons under Jim Grobe. When Grobe resigned after the 2013 season, the Deeks hired Dave Clawson as their head coach, who chose not to retain Elrod as an assistant. So Elrod moved up to the broadcast booth as a color analyst for the Wake Forest radio network. The speculation is that Clawson's refusal to hire him as an assistant is what led to his decision to become a turncoat, and that seems like the most logical reason for the actions that he would soon take. As an analyst, he had full access to Wake Forest players, coaches, practices, film room, and special functions. Well, during the 2014 season, prior to the September 20th meeting with Army, Elrod passed along confidential and proprietary information to Army assistant coaches Ray McCartney and Jay Bateman. McCartney had been a D-line coach at Wake under Grobe and a friend of Elrod's. Then, prior to the Deacons game against Virginia Tech on November 22nd, Elrod once again shared game plans and proprietary information with assistant coach Shane Beamer, then an assistant under his dad. Then in 2016, Elrod passed along similar confidential info and game plans to the Army program once again, prior to their October 29th meeting, as well as to Louisville assistant coach Lonnie Galloway before the Deacons and Cardinals played on November 12th. And it was after that Louisville game on the 12th that rumors started to bubble up after documents were found in the Louisville locker room showing the Deeks playbook. An investigation revealed that Elrod had talked with Galloway prior to the game and passed along that confidential information. Further investigation revealed Elrod's mole activity going back to 2014, which involved the Hokies and the Black Knights. Elrod was immediately fired. Beamer said he never passed the info along to Pops in 2014, and it's hard to argue that it was. That 2014 Wake-Virginia Tech game is one that I've talked about here on the podcast as being one of the worst college football games in history. It was scoreless after regulation, and Wake Forest ended up winning that game 6-3 in double overtime. Army was also not able to turn the 2014 info into much. Wake won that game too, 24-21. Now, the 2016 information shared must have been a lot more inclusive. Army beat Wake Forest 21-13, and then 5th-ranked Louisville beat the Deeks 44-12. Wake and Virginia Tech did not play in 2016. The ACC fined the Hokies and Cardinals $25,000 for receiving Wake Forest game plans and info. Army fined Bateman $25,000 for his role. After the 2016 season, Wake Forest head coach Dave Clawson and his offensive coordinator Warren Ruggiero completely revamped the playbook. closed ranks, and by 2021, the Deacs had risen to their highest ever ranking in the AP poll. On this day in 1983, it was the highest scoring basketball game in NBA history. And if you like lots and lots of scoring, near zero defense that you might see in, say, an NBA All-Star game, then this was your kind of track meet. This was the pre-bad boy Detroit Pistons playing at the Denver Nuggets, and both of these teams loved to get up and down the floor that season. They could have just disconnected the 24-second shot clock in this game because it was not needed. The Nuggets would end the year as the highest scoring team in the league, while the Pistons would be third on that list. When head coaches Chuck Daly and Doug Moe shook hands before this one, Daly said, "First to 140 wins." While Daly anticipated some great action, there was not a lot of anticipation from anybody else around this early season Tuesday night affair. The Detroit Free Press had not sent a single writer to cover it, and the local Denver paper gave their usual guy the night off. Less than 10,000 people actually showed up to watch it in the seats. But those folks who decided to stay home missed some great action throughout. Here's George Blaha and Dave Bing with the Pistons Basketball Network with the high-paced opening moments of this one.
On the way, Denver wins the tap. Dunn matched up against Long, goes baseline with his pass to Issel, and he rips the net, and the Nuggets lead 2-0. Boy, they score fast.
Fast, and a lot of them. You've got to be ready to play defense when you play against these guys. You can't relax at all.
Pistons come down and set up a cross-quarter from Isaiah to John Long, and John ties it at 2. Rob Williams trying to push it up. Issel has it on top of pump fake and a drive, and 2 more on Lambier. Pistons trying for the tie. They go mid-post to Lambier. He guns over Issel and gets it, and we are tied at 4. What a start!
So that's just a little taste of how this game got started, and these two stayed on that pace throughout. It was 38-34 after the first quarter, tied at 74 at the half. The Pistons led 113-108 after 3. With 6 seconds to play in the game, Denver was up 2 when Bill Lambier got fouled. His first free throw barely grazed the rim. After a Pistons timeout, this happened.
And Lambier will go to the line. Boy, it is noisy in Colorado. He bangs it off the iron. Isaiah rebounds up and in with 4 seconds to play. Wow!
Thomas, with the putback of the intentional miss by Lambier, tied the game at 145. Denver's Dan Issel missed the shot at the buzzer, and this game headed to overtime and then some. Each team scored 14 in the first OT. Kelly Tripucka scored all 12 of the Pistons' points in the second overtime, matching the Nuggets' output as well. And the game went to a third OT. Tripucka said later that they all started to get worried there wouldn't be a place to eat after the game. They were just hoping the game ended quickly and that there was an all-night diner somewhere in Denver. By the time the third overtime started, it was already the highest scoring game in NBA history. Down 2 with under a minute to play in the third OT, the Pistons went on a 6-0 run, capped by this play by Thomas. That provided the separation they needed, and after a Lambier blocked shot and a few more points, the Pistons won 186-184.
Tell you what, George, as people read the paper tomorrow, they're not going to believe it.
And yeah, Dave Bing, no doubt the score of this one left people wondering exactly what happened. So here are some of the incredible numbers from this game. There were 5 NBA records set in this one. The combined 370 points is the most of an NBA game. Detroit's 186 is the most ever scored by one team. Denver's 184 is the most scored by a losing team. The teams combined to dish out 93 assists, and the 74 field goals combined also set the record. Isaiah led the way for the Pistons, scoring his career-best 47 in this one. John Long added 41, Tripucka had 35. Denver's Kiki Vandeweghe led all scorers with 51. Now, here's the stat that may blow your mind. Each team made only 1 three-pointer, and Denver's came on the last shot of the game. Several years later, the man who scored the most points and played the least defense, Kiki Vandeweghe, talked about the toll that game took.
Both teams were wiped out for about 3 days. I think both teams lost about 3 or 4 in a row straight.
This episode is brought to you by Firefly Books. From frozen ponds in small-town Canada to packed arenas under bright lights, hockey's journey is 150 years strong. Hockey Hall of Fame Timeline of the Game takes you through it all. 8 defining eras, hundreds of rare photos, legendary names, game-changing moments. Created with the Hockey Hall of Fame, this book is a visual time capsule of the sport's most iconic chapters. Whether you're a die-hard fan or looking for the ultimate holiday gift, Timeline of the Game is a must-have for every hockey lover. Pick up your copy today at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or bookshop.org. On this day in 1971, a future NFL coach was making his debut on Monday Night Football as a 13-year-old participant in the punt, pass, and kick competition. The Washington Redskins were playing at the LA Rams, and at halftime of the 24-10 game, 12 kids between the ages of 8 and 13 who'd won their regional competition were competing in a district punt, pass, and kick event. They were all dressed out in Rams unis, including helmets. But one kid stood out, not exactly for his skill, but more because of his size. Here is that kid, Andy Reid, all grown up and talking to NFL Film's Steve Sable about that night.
I was a big kid. I was one of those kids that you looked at and you went, whoa. Don Meredith was going off. I mean, he was going, look at the size of this guy. Oh, my gosh. So I remember I was so big. They gave me the pump, pass, and kick shoulder pads, and they didn't fit. So they went into the Ram locker room, and they brought out Lester Josephson's jersey.
The running back.
The jersey and his shoulder pads. They taped up the name on the back of the jersey. They threw it on me, and I had his shoulder pads. I wore his shoulder pads all the way through high school.
Reid's night was pretty cool. Not only did he get to keep the shoulder pads and the jersey, he played catch with Redskins starting quarterback Sonny Jurgensen, and then he got introduced on the live broadcast by Frank Gifford. He didn't win, though. If you've seen the video, it's actually the 8-year-old standing behind Reid that ended up winning the age group that night. On this day in 1977, tragedy struck as an airplane carrying the Evansville men's basketball team crashed, killing all 29 people on board. After being delayed for a few hours due to weather, the plane took off from Evansville Dress Regional Airport that evening at 7:20, bound for Memphis in a game with Middle Tennessee. 90 seconds later, the plane crashed in a ravine east of the airport. The Aces had just moved up to Division I after being a powerhouse at the D2 level, where they had won 5 national titles between 1959 and 1971. Flying to games was a new thing for the Aces, but first-year head coach Bobby Watson wanted his team to travel like a Division I program, and so the team boarded the flight that fateful night. The NTSB investigation determined the cause of the crash was due to the pilot failing to remove locks on the right aileron and the rudder before takeoff, which caused the plane to have a nose-high attitude right after takeoff. The baggage compartment was also determined to be overloaded and not configured properly. The NTSB concluded that if just one of those issues had been present, the pilot could have compensated and kept the plane airborne, but together, doomed the plane to crash. The tragedy was compounded further when the only player not on the flight because he was injured at the time died 2 weeks later in a car crash. Since 1935, the Heisman Trophy has been given to the best college football player in the land, and still to this day, only once has it been given to a defensive player. That happened on this day in 1997, when Michigan's Charles Woodson was handed the Heisman Trophy. Now, Woodson did actually play a little bit of offense that year. He ran for 15 yards and a touchdown. He also caught passes for 231 yards and 2 TDs, and he compiled 283 return yards and a touchdown. But he was primarily a defensive player with 47 tackles and 7 interceptions for the national champ Wolverines in '97. Woodson later became a member of an even more exclusive club when he won a Super Bowl with Green Bay. Only Woodson, Tony Dorsett, and Marcus Allen have won the Heisman, an NCAA national championship, and a Super Bowl. And on this day in 1956, Jackie Robinson was traded from the Brooklyn Dodgers to the San Francisco Giants. Instead of heading to the sunny West Coast, Robinson decided to retire instead. And time now for today's That's Got Nothing to Do with Sports fun fact. The actor Bela Lugosi was buried in his Dracula costume worn during the 1931 movie that made him famous. There was one omission, however. The cape was a replica. The actual cape he gave to his wife, who then willed it to their son in 1981. He put it up for auction in 2011. However, after the cape failed to sell at auction, the cape was donated to the Academy of Motion Pictures. That's all I've got for you today. I'll have more tomorrow on This Day in Sports History. This has been an original Thrive Suite production.